So we are dead level then, 8 apiece, as Jesper Svensson for Europe and EJ Tackett go head to head. Tackett, it's fair to say, has yet to bring his A game to the Weber Cup, but for anybody that's tempted to anoint this man as unbeatable, let's just turn the clock back a few hours when he lost in doubles with Dominic Barrett, and then Svensson was roundly beaten by over 50 pins by Kyle Troop, but he did beat this man, EJ Tackett, yesterday evening, and Tackett has yet to have a win in singles competition. It's not a question of if he can bring his A game, it's when is he going to bring his A game. His A game is good enough to win this point, there's no question about it. And is this man back on track after a pretty disappointing showing against Troop earlier today?
Two of the absolute most hottest properties on the professional bowling circuit in the world are these two players. Svensson's had 3 singles matches of 278, 289 and 224. So he's pretty much lined up on this lane, and it's the 3rd game of a lane dressing. So they're playing on what they call the burn.
And Svensson with the huge advantage of being the only left-hander in the field, so he working with relatively undisturbed oil. That's a surprise.
Yeah, 6-pin. Still, you know, he's a left-hander, so yeah, that may well stay. Just a fraction high on that head pin. But as you say, the only oil that's been disturbed on that left-hand side of the lane has been disturbed by this man.
So EJ Tackett has got a chance to get his nose in front here. I say he was beaten on Friday night by Jesper. Jesper did bowl a 278. Tackett was hardly shabby with 247. Certainly on Friday night, anybody bowling in the 230s, 240s was not coming out on top. The standard was exceptionally high. Tackett has had mixed fortunes thus far, and he needs to really bring something a bit special here because the pressure's on him in this evening session. He's up against Svensson twice. We'll want to find a better pocket hit than that going forward.
Oh, well, it wasn't actually a pocket hit, was it?
Exactly.
I mean, it's strange. Both these guys have had 5 minutes practice on this lane, and they come out and shoot the first frame, and EJ's out the pocket.
When you're out the pocket, that's when really bad things can happen. He was lucky that he was able to spare. And a 9 spare for the Swede, an 8 spare for the American. At least that ends any talk of a possible 300 game here.
We've been close a couple of times, haven't we?
None closer than this fella's effort.
He's just taking his time and gathering his thoughts, but you've noticed he's wiped an awful lot of oil off that bowling ball.
Yeah, he always does, doesn't he, Svensson?
So there's still plenty of oil out on that left-hand side of the lane, which will help him hold the ball on line to the pocket.
That's a bit more like it. Remember, Team Europe attempting to go into the lead for the first time. Twice the Americans have had a 3-point lead, should I say. That's been pegged back.
Yes, Svensson draws first blood as early as it is in the game.
Now, this next ball from EJ Tackett will tell us a lot. Remember, not in the pocket in his first frame. That was a much better effort all round.
Just gave it a fraction more width, I think, on the outside, and so much hook and revolutions on that bowling ball. It comes absolutely roaring back from the right-hand side of the lane. It's just a matter of whether it's going to carry 10 or not. But it was a perfect-looking shot. Europe leading by a pin, which means they're leading in the whole tournament for the first time.
I don't think anyone's hanging out the flags on that just yet.
I just thought I'd mention it.
Let's see if he can stay in front. Oh, it's the 7-pin.
Well, to the layperson, it looked a pretty reasonable shot, didn't it? Wasn't that far away, and the 4-pin's just flown around off the kickback and missed the 7-pin totally. Maybe a case of that ball hitting the pins just too hard.
Svensson did miss one of these corner single pins, and he's missed another one right there, and that's unforgivable.
I'm almost at a loss for words, and I'm sure he is as well, but he's missed it on the inside. Missed it on the channel before, but look, the ball's started to turn, and that's the hardest ball that he's got, his spare ball, and it started to turn enough to miss the single pin, and that is a major, major error.
Well, it is those 7s on the left that the left-hander will miss from time to time, but he went in the gutter on his earlier miss, and that one, as you say, was just repelled. Now let's see if Tackett can punish that. Well, it's a good pocket hit, but this time it's the 10.
It's the angle that the ball's going in behind the head pin into the 1 and the 3 pocket, and Tackett is a man that hooks the ball as much as anybody in the world, and that's why it's wobbled, it's been hit, but it hasn't gone. That 6-pin's hit it on the way round, but just not enough.
Let's see if he can take care of business, which he does. A little rueful shake of the head there. I think Tackett knew that that was an opportunity for him to really just put his foot down and open up some distance between himself and his opponent.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell him how to bowl, but they do say sometimes that less is more. Less revolutions going into the pocket may just be enough to kick out 10 and not leave those corner pins standing. It'd be interesting to see.
Now, Svensson's got to forget all about that howler on the single pin. And a somewhat fortuitous strike, but they all go down.
Yes, he had the 5 and the 10-pin standing at one particular stage here. It's just gone a little bit wide. It's light in the pocket. Look at that. And the 5 and the 10 standing, but some flying wood took care of those two. It turns out to be a pretty valuable strike.
And it forces Tackett to match that, to keep his slender advantage here. No, he's all over the place with that one. That was flush on the head pin and got exactly what it deserved.
Well, not only is it just 6, but it's a split as well. Yeah, he's inside his mark, an overreaction in the back end. 3, 4, 6 and the 7. Now this is a makeable split. If he can hit that 3-pin, right hand side, bounce it across, he could make the spare, but it's difficult, and it's a low count.
What are these? 2 out of 10 you'll see these made?
Maybe 3.
That up the average. That was a very important ball there from E.J. Tackett.
Yes, it's a very good looking spare. It looks great on TV. Unfortunately, it was the first shot that was the bad one. But yeah, it make amends.
And did you see Svensson was the first to give him a fist pump on that one, an acknowledgement of the quality of that spare ball. But it hands the initiative by the slenderest of margins back to the Swede. And he takes full advantage.
2 strikes in a row for Jesper Svensson. 30 pins a ball. Ups his lead. It's a great looking shot here. Really powerful in that 1-2 pocket. Carries all 10 pins.
EJ got that ball to do so much work.
Another great looking shot, but he needed it after that 6 spare. He's only made 2 strikes out of 5 frames, which is unusual for him. As I say, he's one of the hottest properties, if not the hottest property on world bowling at the moment. Current world champion, current PBA player of the year. Svensson for a turkey.
Nope. Now, you think he's paying full attention to that 7-pin in the corner this time?
One would like to think so. Like to hope so. See, it's just on the slow motion replay you can see that it was light in the pocket, which is why that pin hasn't gone.
Just remember, he has 2 misses on this 7. 1 into the gutter, 1 inside. So there is nothing automatic now about this. That's just about got the job done. A celebration there. He knows he's going to be asked about that, win or lose here.
Well, once you've missed a couple, you actually think, well, you know, what did I do wrong? And you will get a little bit nervous. But he covered it well, and he's reacted to it.
So once again, the initiative has swung the other way. A strike here will give Tackett a 6-pin advantage. There is that strike. This has been a really good effort, and hasn't he been absolutely brilliant since he cleaned up that awkward-looking split?
Well, it was that split conversion that has actually put him into the lead. Well, 2 strikes in a row here, but it was the 6 spare in the 4th frame. That was the important one, and it was a great-looking split conversion.
So both players have had a double. Let's see if the tall young Swede can get back in the zone here. No, always taps it. He's tapped it. It looked like it was going to be another one of those 7 pins to get rid of, and then a late pin came along, tapped it on the head, and that was enough to knock it over.
Yeah, it was a very powerful looking shot. The 7 pin is left standing, but there's some deadwood. Oh, it would have been hit twice, wouldn't it?
Yep.
It would have gone. So yeah, maybe a little bit fortuitous, but it all counts.
Yeah, it wasn't quite tapped on the head. It turned out to be a body shot. A left hook to the body took the 7 down.
And the look on his face, he knew how fortunate that was. No, I won't say lucky, but we'll say fortunate.
And Tackett keeps the pressure on, and while Tackett was bowling, Jesper Svensson went and had a very long conversation with his compatriot Martin Larsson.
Great looking shot there from EJ Tackett. 3 strikes in a row, keeps the lead, albeit it's only 6 pins.
Well, with that very, very slight advantage, that really does force this man to strike now, because so long as Tackett matches whatever Svensson does, he wins the point. And what a huge morale boost that would be, not only for USA, but for Tackett personally. It would be a massive win for him. It would be his first win in singles in a match where he came in as the underdog. Well, there's the strikes, and so he's thrown his marker down.
It makes you wonder how that 7 pin in the corner actually stands up sometimes, doesn't it? Almost an identical shot as the one previously, and the 7 pin's gone big time.
So, to stay in front, Tackett needs to match that. The Indiana native. I think so far we've seen his best performance in singles play. Whatever happens from here, now can he carry it on? Oh yes, the messenger has taken out the 10 in the corner.
What Svensson do, Tackett does.
Well, that's the recipe for success here. All he's got to do is match Svensson. But look at that Messenger flying over.
Well, it just shows you the amount of power that Tackett creates on the bowling ball, and the body reaction. Look at that, cracking. So 4 strikes in a row, maintains his lead as we come up to the foundation frame number 9.
Well, this really does force Svensson to do it again. He's got to have a strike here. Remember, he's the one that is waiting for the opponent to let him in. He's got to make it as hard for Tackett as he possibly can. Oh, no. Now, that didn't look to be a perfect pocket hit either. Just drifted offline a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't snap the ball at the back end, but it just dived a little bit too high on the head pin, and the 6 pins left standing, so that can only be a spare. And if he does spare it, it's 19 pins. Tackett can step up and shoot another strike for another 30 and almost sew this game up.
Yeah, the applause very subdued indeed, because I don't think there are many people in this audience that have missed the point. A spare was just no good. Not when you're chasing, not when you're running out of frames. He knows, totally out of his hands now. And Tackett, ever since he cleaned up that mess, has been unstoppable. 4 in a row. And a 5-bagger here would pretty much seal the deal. Oh, look at that.
Would you believe it?
It means this one's going down to the wire now.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Nick. Yeah, absolutely. Strike was all he wanted. He was high on the head pin, fortunate to break the pins up, and he knew how valuable that was, or would have been.
Oh, he's only just got that. My goodness me. That was way too close for comfort.
Had he missed that, Svensson would have had a 4-pin lead going into the 10th frame.
Look at this.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
That stuck a fingernail out as it went past. That was enough to take the pin. That might be enough to give Tackett the point. Well, it's still his to lose, but if Svensson strikes, Tackett will have to match that.
Yep, big ball here for the European player. He's shot 5 strikes out of 9 frames so far, but this is very much going to be the biggest one.
I wonder how much he's still thinking of that missed single 7-pin as well, because that is threatening to cost him this point. Can't think about that now. Just got to think about make the strike. Oh no, that'll do it, I think. It just means that Tackett needs to avoid a split, and he'll win this.
Yep, certainly right. A strike or a spare from Tackett, and it's another point for USA. Just didn't quite make the head pin. It was a little bit wide of the down lane marker. It was a single pin yet again in the corner. Spare for 2, 3, 5, which is actually quite a low score for Jesper Svensson.
Well, at least it's an improvement on his 2-2-4 from earlier today. I tell you, Svensson was the pick of the crop on Friday night, but his Saturday has shown he's human. He will look back at that miss on the 7th. He will rue that, but this is threatening to be E.J. Tackett's Weber Cup coming out party. We knew he would get it together. This looks like the moment. All he's got to do is stay clean. All he has to do is avoid any kind of split, and the point will be his. It'll be a big point for the Americans. It'll keep them in front. There it is. That'll do it. E.J. Tackett, welcome to the Weber Cup. So the Americans go back in front But Jesper Svensson will be walking out of here in disgust, knowing that was an opportunity spurned. He will have an opportunity in 3 matches' time to come back and get redemption. But right now it's frustration for the Swede. It's delight for EJ Tackett. And a tie is broken. The Americans back in front. Europe's wait for their first lead of the Weber Cup goes on. It's the Americans in front, 9-8. More after this.